Hey, everybody. I say
What up?
not much of a delay between StreamYard and YouTube at all today, only about 5 seconds.
It looked
Oh,
like on mine it was on my end it looked like it was about 12. Hey Janie,
huh. Odd.
Lone Wolf, Sadie
Hey,
J,
Ryan,
Victoria,
Spencer, Victoria, Shady, Wolf.
Mariah, welcome. If you two are still here. We
Mm.
decided to surprise you guys with an additional conspiracy hour this week. Although this isn't really a conspiracy. This is happening. So
Yeah. This one's not so much the conspiracy as it is just what the hell?
yeah. This one's happening. Um and I think a lot of people don't realize it's happening. So we'll we'll obviously dive into that here in just a second. We'll let a few people come in. Hey, Bonnie,
Yeah. Hey, Bonnie.
Dobson, Maria Dobson's here. It's good to see you.
Hey, Maria. Say sorry, I'm in the background trying to get something set up for an overlay real quick.
Hey, Miss Luck,
So, hey, Miss Luck.
doing good today, Lone Wolf. Doing good. It's a fucking beautiful rainy day here in the state of Virginia.
Oh.
Very moist, if you will.
So it's actually pretty decent out today here. It's a little bit cloudy, but the sun's shining bright. A whopping 66 degrees.
Whew, swimming weather.
Oh yeah. Hey, Duty.
Unless you're Lori. Hey, Dodie.
Well, I was 75 degrees is too cold for Lori to go swimming.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious yesterday. Tim took his time getting home because they didn't have power and their house was like at 90.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were, Bonnie. That's cool.
Oh, I said I'm curious as to the whys, but I'm not going to ask on a live stream about that, Bonnie.
Yeah. Yeah. Try to keep people's personal lives to themselves. So
You know,
but it's cool you were
whatever
here.
the
Hopefully you
reason.
enjoyed your time here in the state.
Oh, say whatever the reason. I hope you had a little bit of fun while you were there. Mm.
But yeah, I got a good right-hand drive Jeep. It's one of the old mail truck Jeeps, like a 90s one.
Yeah. Where'd you find that?
Sounded like in my state.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't realize that was Bonnie. I thought you were
Okay.
talking about yourself. Oh,
Yes, Victoria, we are going to work on getting that on Loki's and mine set up here before too long.
yeah.
So people will be able to play that game on our channels as well.
Ooh.
I think currently I'm still in first place on Lori's.
Oh man. I said, well, you know, you're not eligible, so technically, I for the drawing. So,
Yeah, she kept saying the top three are winning a ticket. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna finally get a ticket. She's like, it doesn't count.
Oh, well, on the other side of that thing, somebody could duel you for God knows how much, and I don't know what the limit they've set is, but
I
I
think she
say,
set the limit on dueling to like 10,000 too, because I know in fusions you could duel for however much you wanted.
yeah.
But I think she set a limit on duels too to like 10,000.
Oh, well, that'll help keep it a little bit more balanced, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, so somebody can't come in and duel the top guy for all his points and then run away with it.
which is what I did in Fusions like that first day.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny. You hooked Fusion for what was it? 100 and some thousand, 150,000 or something?
I think I dueled him for like $1 million or something. It was a big amount.
Damn. Said took his shit and walked.
Oh.
Oh,
But yeah, what we intend to talk about today is auto manufacturers pay for features or monthly or yearly subscriptions to features on your car.
yeah. I mean, everybody's kind of familiar with that, with like OnStar navigation systems and
XM radio.
XM radio, exactly. But they're going to take it to a whole new level, apparently.
Well,
So
not only are they going to, they have.
they have, yeah. I say after, yeah, what you were telling me earlier. I was like, wait a minute, what? Um,
Like a reference point. One of my friends has an electric car, and I guess Tesla and some of the electric car companies have been offering some paid features for their cars for a while, like hands-free driving and things like that.
hmm,
And my friend's one car, he can use an app on his phone to start or stop his car, or start or turn it off, to start it, which is really handy in the wintertime or in the summertime, really. He's coming back to his car and it's really hot out. He can turn his car on from 10 or 15 miles out and get the AC rolling in his car before he ever shows up.
yeah. And hey, that's a handy little feature right there. That opposite for me up here, it'd be able to just even out the window turn the car on and let it start heating up. Man, that would be nice.
And if I recall correctly, that feature on his car, I think he said it comes with a monthly subscription of like $20. And there's a couple more things that it does. Like he can lock and unlock his car, start it. I can't remember. There's some other random stuff he can do on the mobile app for his electric car.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's been kind of happening with the electric cars for quite a while with these
Yeah,
pay-as-you-go features.
that's it. What gets me though is you just paid $50,000 or whatever for a brand new car, and you paid for the features that it came with. Now they're going to hook you for a monthly fucking fee on top of that. That just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And some of these people, if you're buying a brand new car, and most of the people that know me know I dislike Ford, but I only wrote down Ford because I was able to find actual figures on them. But Chevrolet's doing it, Dodge is doing it, BMW, Mercedes. They're all the major manufacturers are doing it. But I just happen to have the figures for Ford. So um,
Um,
Ford is they're adding $2,100 to the purchase price for some Ford vehicles, and it's called Blue Cruise. And so some people may be buying a new car and don't even realize they paid for this feature because they just added into the price, and then you finance, or if you paid for it outright, however your pockets are. But they're adding $2,100 to the cost, and that covers you for 3 years. And I'll be right back.
all right. I say, yeah, that just doesn't seem right to me that the auto manufacturers are, like I say, you pay for a car with certain features to it, and now they're going to hook you for extra money on top, whether they're rolling it into the payment or the cost of it or whatever, or hitting you individually. That's just messed up in my opinion. It's like, wait a minute, you just bought a new car.
Yeah.
why do I okay? Am I and with what they cost these days? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that just does not make sense.
And to put some of the numbers into a perspective for you, it's Ford. Ford has estimated approximately 400,000 Ford Pro customers are currently paying for subscription. So 400,000 people are paying $2,000 a year for Ford Pro. And to make that numbers make sense, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but you're talking $800 million is what Ford made this year on subscriptions alone. $800 million on subscriptions.
Hey, nephew, good to see you. I'm saying, yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's crazy to me that that's a very sizable amount of money that's being moved, and you really can't find a lot of information on it. I mean, you're talking that's a lot of money, a lot of money.
Yeah, I say the 20 minutes or so before the show started here, I was sitting there digging through. Carhole found the information on Ford. I was looking on Chevy and Dodge and a few others, and I couldn't find anything of a relation, in the same vein. I'm sure it exists, but they're keeping that information pretty damn tight to the chest. Uh, Wisely so, in my opinion, because if your car payment's already $600 damn dollars a month, now they're going to whack you for another 50, 100, $200 per month.
And I think the thing that I find interesting is when you're buying said vehicle, you're paying for the features that come in that vehicle, or at least you used to be. So if you're buying a 70, 80, 90, $100,000 car, you paid for those features to be put in the car, and now you got to pay to use those features. It's just crazy. Hey, Jesse. And spokesman, you're dynamite, brother. It's good to see you.
I say, yeah, that was kind of my point of it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why did I pay for these features if now I got to pay a monthly fee to use them? And I know, Carhole, you mentioned heated seats was one of the things that they were going to make people pay for. I said, but apparently they're retracting that idea because people rose up and were like, wait a minute, what?
Well, I don't know if all manufacturers. I know BMW, for instance, was going to charge for heated, to be able to use the heated seats in your car. And that was recently retracted this week. And that's kind of what caught my attention to the story in general, because I typically drive older stuff and I don't really care about this crap. I do pay for XM radio, and I do it because I do a lot of road trips. So I find value in XM radio, but that's a third party company. That's not Ford, Chevy, Dodge. That's a third party company I'm paying that monthly fee to.
Yeah. I mean, now a lot of vehicles these days do come with an XM capable radio, but at the same time, like you say, it's still a third party product.
Correct.
So I can understand a subscription fee for XM, but for the features of a car, what are they going to start charging you for next? The AC unit? That did. Tell me down there.
You know how much they could make? You know how much they could make in the summertime on that? You miss your payment and you're driving around like Stax 727. It's hot as shit. They just run up a monopoly, your AC. They turn off your AC system, and then your car gets hot, and they're like, "Oh, to turn it back on, it's going to be $300," and then it'll be, oh man,
yeah,
it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope for sure,
big time. I say, what gets me is, okay, if they can turn off all these features on your car with the switch of a button someplace, what's to stop them from? Okay, Carhole said something that Ford doesn't like, so they shut down, or Chevy or whoever he happens to have the car through, or Tesla even. You say something that they don't like online against the policies of whatever company happens to be doing this, and they just shut off your whole damn car. You can't tell me that they couldn't just shut the ECU off. If they can shut your radio, your heated seats, whatever off, what's to stop them from just turning off the ECU?
Sorry, the dude.
Hey, dude. I say we're really just kind of ramping up into it.
Yeah, so we're talking about subscription-based vehicles. So like all the new manufacturers. Do you have that overlay of like all the companies that are working on that?
Yes, I do.
So like we have. I have the statistics on Ford, and so like their numbers are pretty incredible. But when you look at this list, some of them I don't actually know who some of these companies are.
I don't recognize a good part of them either,
but I mean the point being is these are the companies, and they could very well be just products that are in your car. But they're paying, you're paying for monthly premiums on these cars that you already paid an astronomical amount of money on.
Yeah, and like I say, I get the whole idea of XM radio charging a fee, but okay, let's take air conditioning for example again. Originally, most cars, well, all cars, no cars, came with air conditioning. When it was finally invented and implemented, it was a luxury that you paid out the butt for air conditioning to be put in your car. But that was a one-time thing. It added an extra $100 or $300 to your the cost of your car. Like I say, are they now going to charge you to turn on your air conditioning because you're hurting the environment by running AC?
Well, and then to that exact point that you made there is in California, the people that got those digital thermostats put in their houses for free, the last couple of years, the county or the state or whoever operates those has been turning people's AC up to like 80 and locking it. So who's to say that couldn't happen to your car as well?
Yeah. I say, yeah, if they're going to do that on houses, and they're going to do it to cars. I say, and that's another thing. Who are these people to decide, okay, yes, it's 110 degrees out, but you can only turn your AC down to 75. Well, what if I have somebody in the car with me who's very large or just got out of, just did a 10-mile run and is sweating themselves silly. Hey, Larry. And, I want to turn the AC down to 60 for a while to cool that individual off.
Exactly. It's just wild to me. Just the Ford Motor Company alone this year made $800 million off of Ford Pro, and that's just one company. I know that Chevrolet's doing it. The numbers that I did see for their annual subscription, Chevy and GMC were like $2,100 a year, and then for the exact same features in a Cadillac, it was like $200 or $300 more. So, yeah, I mean, it was the exact same features that were in the Chevy and GMC too. It's just you have a Cadillac, so they're like, we need to take more of your money.
Yeah, that's BS right there in itself, because just because you have a more expensive car doesn't mean they should be able to nail you for more money for the exact same thing. I'm sorry, that should be a flat rate, period. But it also shouldn't even be a thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, me and you had talked about briefly is, and you touched on it a little bit ago, was, you pay to have these parts put in your car. So if I'm paying Ford $50,000 and I'm paying for the AC compressor, the condenser, the control unit, all the parts and pieces that are in my car,
Mm-hmm.
why do I have to pay a subscription to run said air conditioning unit? I paid for all the parts. Like it, I don't know, man. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I use the AC on that one is because that's something, especially in the hotter states, that is going to be a big thing. But if they're going to do heated seats that way, or we're trying to do heated seats that way, what's to think that they wouldn't do your air conditioning?
It's just greed on its core. Pure greed.
Yeah, especially when you consider the cost of a new vehicle these days. I mean, I haven't honestly looked at the new car market in quite a while myself, just because most new cars don't interest me because I don't like computers in my vehicles.
That's a boomer thing.
Yeah. Not the boomer, not the boomer. Close.
Oh, man. Oh, too funny.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Man. Yeah, I find it interesting too, because we were trying to figure out. I knew there was a statistic back in the day where you could buy what the cost to make a Ford GT Mustang in the early 2000s, what it cost the manufacturer to make. And the cost at that time was about $7,500. That's what it cost Ford to manufacture a GT Mustang. And in that era, those Mustangs were selling between 30 and 40,000, depending on some of the stuff you got in it. And you just look at the markup. Like, I understand Ford's got to make money. That 7,500 that's what it costs them to make it. Ford's got to make money, so they sell it to a dealer, and then the dealer marks it up. And so you're talking a $7,500 car goes into a $30,000 to $40,000 markup. And I wonder, and we were trying to look it up today. You can't find a manufactured estimated cost of vehicles anymore.
No, they're keeping that information very tight to the vest.
Because
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because I was curious, so I typed in 2023 Camaro to see what the cost of a new Camaro would. How much does it cost to make a new Camaro? I know generally what they sell for, anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000. But what does it cost? Well, surprise, that information is not publicly available, at least that I could find. Granted,
and I
search window.
I suspect that those prices have gone up since then. Like I would even venture to guess it probably costs Ford upwards of $10,000 to $15,000 to manufacture that same Mustang today.
Oh yeah.
However, that same Mustang is going to be selling for 40, 50, 60.
Exactly.
So their high-end markup is still there. So they're still getting, Ford's getting their markup, the dealer's getting their markup. And then Ford's like, you know what, that $10,000 profit we made off you for selling our car isn't enough. Now we need to make another $2,000 off of you a year.
Mm-hmm. Or more. I say, because, and that's the thing. They're doing this per, what were you calling it? The startup and locks and all that. They had a name for it. Hey, Maria. But that's one. or one set of features. Now, they're going to charge you for the heated seats, the air conditioning, they're going to make you pay for power to roll your window up and down next.
Yeah.
I say, so you could be looking at, okay, here's the list of features that you can rent or lease in your new car that you just bought. That could be anywhere from an extra $100, $200 a month up to an extra $400 a month, maybe. If you want everything.
Yeah, and it's and a lot of households that have two working adults in it, they have two cars. So now you're paying those on two separate cars.
Yeah. And
And
people wonder why we like our old cars.
Yeah, I don't need anybody's permission to go out and start my old Chevy.
No.
The other interesting aspect that I don't think a lot of people actually know is when you buy a newer car, I don't know exactly when that date was, but there's a date, whether it's 2010 or 2015 or 2003, that you don't own that vehicle. That is still property of the Ford Motor Company or Mitsubishi or Mercedes. That's their car. You just get the privilege of driving it, and you pay for it and you think you own it, but you don't ever own that vehicle.
Which I just read something on that myself here not too long back, and I meant to follow up on it and never did. I said, but that again, this makes no sense to me. I just paid you $60,000, $100,000 for this vehicle. How are you going to tell me I don't own it now? I mean, and that goes whether you're making payments on a car or if you walk in and purchase the damn thing outright. Any new car that you buy does not belong to you. I say, if you read your contract very carefully, that still belongs to the company that sold it to you.
Yeah, sometimes Victoria, you can get in that case. Sometimes you can get like a batch of bad gas, and your car, will have a slight hesitation or something, and it'll pop a check engine light, and then after a certain amount of time, it'll reset. All right. So what I'm trying to get at, the dude, is you own the vehicle. However, you don't own the vehicle because, say, let's just use the Ford, for instance. Let's say Ford Mustang GT. You bought a Ford Mustang GT, and there's a recall. Let's say frame issue. With property taxes and stuff, that's state to state. The state does that. But what I'm getting at is these manufacturers are held to a standard, and so if they feel like one of their cars is unsafe for the road, they'll take it from you. Absolutely. They'll come grab it, and there isn't a damn thing you can do about it. And they will give you wholesale value if they when they do that. So let's say you bought, let's just use, generic numbers. You bought a car for $20,000, but its wholesale value is 12. To you, that car's worth 20 grand. But when they take it from you, they're only going to give you 12. So you're out $8,000 right off the cut. And there's nothing you can do as the owner of that vehicle because if you read the fine print when you're buying these new vehicles, you don't own them. They are not your car.
Yeah. I say it's something they've been adding into the contracts. Like Mike says, I don't know when exactly it started, but any new car sold in, I'd say at least the last 5 to 10 years, has it in the contract. Like I say, even if you buy that sucker outright, cash money on the barrelhead, that is not your car. That still belongs to whoever you bought it from. And if there's a recall and you don't think that the recall is that big a deal, say it's a faulty tail light, let's say. And you feel that it's no big deal. I don't need to take this in. I can fix this myself, whatever. If the person or if the company that sold you that car is bound and determined, they'll just come take the car and send
And
you.
with all the technology going into these new cars, it's not like you can hide it. They will be able to find the car.
Oh yeah. Well, any of these cars that are self-driving, they don't even have to come find it. They just program it to go home.
Can you imagine going to work one day, you come out and your car just drove off without you? That'd be fucking wild.
Or you go out to go to work one morning and you see your car driving down the road without you. It's like, wait a minute.
That would be wild.
Oh.
Now, granted, with that being said, it's never happened. Like, manufacturer hasn't come and just taken, a brand of car and just recalled all of them and just took them away. They were really close for a few years with Toyota, because the Toyota Tacoma, I can't remember the years, but it was through the mid 2000s. They were putting frames on their Toyotas that were rusting and rotting from the inside out. So yeah. Toyota was pretty close to recalling all those trucks because they were becoming a road hazard and unsafe. But Toyota did stand behind their products. So people that had trucks that they didn't want to get rid of, they would do a frame swap on them. And then they also treated their customers really well. The ones that didn't want to wait a month for their frame, they would give them actual retail value on their cars. They didn't have to do retail, but they did. So Toyota did a really good job of taking care of its customers in that scenario.
Hey, Street Fox.
Hey, Street Fox, welcome. And then the other car company that had issues and it really opened my eyes was Kia was putting engines that kind of blew up right at 100,000, 100 to 120,000 in their cars. They were the Optima, the 4-door car, not like the family car, nothing crazy. Kia decided that anybody that had those engines, they were going to replace them at their cost. So when Kia stood behind their product like that, that made me open my eyes. Like, wow, any company that will stand behind an error on their part is good in my book.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So, and I know for a fact that they did it because one of my friends had one, and they had the exploding motor, and it went out at like, I can't remember what he said, 120, 140,000. It was over the term, and Kia didn't necessarily have to honor it, but they did.
Yeah.
And for that,
well, I mean,
for instance, in comparison to another major car company that made astronomical errors, Ford, the Triton engine was shooting spark plugs out of the side because they didn't put enough threads in it. I had one of those ejecto engines, and Ford told me they would fix it at $500 per cylinder at my cost for their manufacturing defect. That is a company that will not stand behind their failures, and they want to pass that on to their consumers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to even admit it, but Dodge kind of has the same thing with the damn transmissions. I say specifically in the 90 series, the first generation Cummins diesels, they had the get reg transmissions out of Germany in them. And for whatever reason, I'm not kidding you, we owned half a dozen of them for work at the time. Hey, Sin.
Hey, Sin.
But every single one of them we had, automatic or manual. Manuals seemed to have a little bit longer shelf life, but the automatics would go out between 70 and 75,000 like clockwork. They just, spin bearings, whatever it was that was going wrong with them, they're done. They did not stand behind that. We had to, they covered part of it. I'm trying to remember the figures on it. I think they covered about half of the actual cost of the new transmissions for them. But them damn get rig transmissions out of Germany were like $5,000 or more. So
Yeah. And yes, what Sin said there was his wife's car had the same issue. It was a Kia, and right to my knowledge, there's only two car companies that stood up for their errors like that, and it was Kia and Toyota.
yeah,
And so when it comes to keeping happy customers, man, like I wouldn't hesitate buying a Kia or a Toyota at any point in time, just because they actually care about their consumer.
yeah,
Now they're also doing this subscription-based stuff as well. That's greed, but that's a different, it's a different portion of the subject.
oh, excuse me. I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had to buy a newer one, Kia or Toyota would be up on my list now, simply because they do stand behind it, unlike Ford and Dodge specifically.
Yeah, I agree, man. 100%. Yeah, Kia, it may be one of my next vehicle purchases. I don't know. But yeah, back to our original conversation, the numbers. Some people may have missed it. The subscription base that Ford is charging, they made $800 million this year on their Ford Pro. So Ford Pro is a subscription based. Ford believes it's going to hit 1.2 million customers by the year 2026. And to put that in perspective, at $2,000 a year annually, 1.2 million customers, you're talking $2.4 billion annually for subscriptions. $2.4 billion.
Holy shit.
So, and this is coming from Ford, this isn't Mike's Carhole just saying this. Ford believes that it's going to hit 1.2 million paid subscribers by the year 2026 at $2,000 a year annually. Now, they do allow you to pay monthly. Those numbers will change a little bit. You get a little bit of a break when you pay annually as opposed to monthly. So,
I still can't wrap my head around how they figure that you should have to pay a subscription fee for the features that you bought with the car.
Correct. Correct. I agree. But yeah, what does it say? I wrote down some notes up here. Automakers are embracing a new business model that requires paid subscriptions to unlock everything from entertainment options to enhanced nav and hands-free driving. That's on top of your regular car payments. So it's unfortunately it's just the wave of the future. We watched, Sin can vouch for this. I know video games themselves got ruined by this always having to buy a subscription to some bullshit every couple months. So you pay $50, $100 to play a game, and then every 3 months you have to pay for a fucking update or some other bullshit, and they're getting fucking money on top of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're not getting anything extra. You already paid for everything. This is just a way for them to get more money out of you.
Yeah, I mean, the video game industry has been doing that for a decade or more now. You'd buy the basic game, and the new expansion would come out. Well, instead of just downloading the update for the expansion, no, you got to pay to get the DLC, the downloaded content.
Yep.
And to a point, I could kind of get that because, some of these games, like, for example, World of Warcraft or something like that, they were adding whole new sections to the maps. New mounts, new this, that, the other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it was like you were getting a new game. But at the same time, you still had to, okay, for example, if you wanted to go buy WoW today, World of Warcraft, to install on your video game, and you wanted all the new, all the areas that are available, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, Cole, uh, you're looking at probably $400, $500 just to buy all the main game and all of the expansions with it. And honestly, I think I'm lowballing that figure because World of Warcraft in particular has, I think, 13 expansions. So 13 times 60, you do the math.
Yeah. and J.R. Colt, just so you know, that rabbit hole I sent you down to catch you up on some of the figures. This year alone, 2023, Ford Motor Company made $800 million off of their paid subscription. So there's 400,000 Ford Pro customers at $2,000 a year annually, $800 million. They're estimated by 2026 to have 1.2 million customers with a net profit of $2.4 billion annually off of paid subscriptions for features in your car that are already there. And this is just one company. So
hey, Corona.
Those are just astronomical numbers, and Chevrolet is charging more than Ford is. Theirs was like $2,200 a year, and then if you bought a Cadillac, it was like $2,500 a year.
Yeah, and that's another aspect of it. It's the same feature whether you're buying a Camaro or a Cadillac. But so why are they charging you an extra $200 or $300 a year just because it's a Cadillac?
Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're rich, you can afford it. What? Wait, no, that ain't right.
Oh man. So, and then like I said, I think a lot of people I think a lot of people that are paying this didn't realize they were paying for it because a lot of the new cars, you're paying $70,000 for a new truck. Yeah. Would you really notice a $2,100 add-on to your car when you're buying it? And that, like the Blue Cruise, for instance, that Ford offers is $2,100. They give you 3 years of a subscription to that. Or if you opt out and you caught that, you get it for free for 90 days, and then they'll activate it at $800 a year or $75 a month. So there's some extra features that people may have paid for and just didn't even realize.
Yeah, and yeah, Colt, I'm keeping my 91 Dodge and throwing money into it as needed. Screw that.
I have a 91 Suburban. So.
Yeah. I say, bet you plan on keeping that thing on the road as long as you can too.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things like I've kind of known about for a while, but it wasn't until I was just kind of reading up and trying to put together this particular show is when I really sat down and crunched numbers and things, and it's just like this is just pure American greed and robbing from the low man on the totem pole. And for Ford, they're estimating $2.4 billion annually of subscriptions.
I don't even see this as American greed. I see this as, what do they call that? Vulture capitalism. Because, like I say, the features that you're charging you for, you already paid for the equipment in your vehicle for those features. And now they're going to charge you, they're upselling you and charging you a monthly subscription fees just to use the features that you already bought in your vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like I say, a third party thing like XM Radio, okay, I understand. That's a separate company altogether. You don't have to get an XM radio in your car. It's kind of standard feature these days, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. Coronavirus. We were talking about a lot of features that come in your car, like heated seats, potentially your air conditioning unit, and different things like that. But like jokes aside, though, Loki, we had talked about like people like me would be able to go in there, rewire these systems, just add power and ground and a switch, and but how many people these days can't even change their damn wipers on their car? So, like for me, I could turn off and on all these features without their permission. It would just be having to work around it.
Right. But at the same time, you know that the computers in that car are going to be smart enough to sense that connection has been tampered with. So, will they shut down your car because you tampered with the features now?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, like I say, it's not that far. If they can turn on and off your heated seats, you can't tell me that they can't turn your ECU that controls the entire vehicle off simply because you violated their terms of service.
Yeah, and like you were also saying earlier that if you say something that the particular company doesn't like, do they shut your car off?
Yeah.
Or maybe you decide you want to drive to, as an example, you went to the January 6th protest. And after all that went on, does Ford shut down all the cars in the area, or does Chevy? They're like, okay, every car in this area, boom, shut it down. So you can't leave? I mean, where is this really going? Who's controlling these things?
Oh.
I mean, I would say that's pretty far out left field, but I'm just saying, like,
well,
it's a possibility.
It is a distinct possibility. Hey, MMC. They probably have a clause in the contract for violation and tampering. Very good point.
I mean, a prime example is what American Security just did.
Yeah, Liberty.
That shit was what? Oh, it was Liberty. I have the American Security. Yeah, Liberty Safe.
I say Liberty Safes. I think the guy wasn't he a January 6th or around the Capitol during January 6th? See, I'm not even.
Yeah.
I read the story completely. I'm not even sure if the guy was involved, but because he was there, the safe manufacturer basically gave the FBI the code to his safe. Granted, it was a master code, but still, they gave him the code to get into this guy's safe while he was at work so they could arrest him without fear of being shot at or attacked.
Yeah, well, if I recall correctly in the story, he was a gun shop owner, and so they raided him at his house and at his work at the same time, but they were able to get the master code to his safe and confiscate everything in the safe. And that's a third-party company. They have no business giving out information like that. You buy a safe to keep your things safe.
Yeah.
If the FBI wanted to take it, take the whole damn safe.
Well, not only that, but don't they need a warrant for that? I mean, they got a warrant to get into his house, et cetera, et cetera. That warrant does not cover seizing his possessions. That's a different ball of wax altogether.
Well, the warrant, I don't know what the warrant was, but the warrant may have been for firearms. I have no idea. I don't know what was in the warrant, but the warrant can be written to that extent. So as far as that goes, I don't know, but I just don't understand how a third party can sell out basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, my point on that is usually you have to have some kind of a conviction or at least be charged with something before they can take your crap from you. And it has to go before a judge. You have to go before a judge before they can seize property, and generally. for them to go in and empty this guy's safes at his house just because they're, oh, he was involved in J6. Um, okay, you haven't really convicted him of anything. He hasn't seen a judge. They're doing this kind of stuff preemptively. Well, it goes right back to the subscriptions on the cars. If you're not doing what you're told, violating this law or that law, or they think you're violating this law or that law, do they just have your self-driving Tesla drive itself back to the manufacturer?
Yeah. Yeah, who's to say? It's just very interesting.
Ooh, excuse me. Mm.
Yeah, we were saying a little bit earlier too, MMC, that any of these newer cars, there's a perception that you own it, but you actually don't. You never actually own any of these newer vehicles. They belong to the manufacturer.
Okay, I can see your point there. I say, because when you sign that Class 3 license, yeah, they have the right to come in and look anytime they want, essentially, to my understanding. I say, I've never had a Class 3 license myself, but I've known a few people who own gun shops, and yeah, I say, when you sign that thing, there's a whole list of crap that's you sign away a lot of rights with that.
But I would still think, JR would probably be the correct guy to answer this. He will openly, if the feds come knocking on his door, open everything for them to inspect, not go somewhere else and fucking access it without his permission. So like if they were encountering him, let's just say JR was this guy, right? So they go to JR's store, they raid his store and do that. And let's just say they handcuff JR and then they take him to his house. JR knows he has to comply. JR would give them the code to get into his safe at his house.
Exactly.
So like, and why would they go the way that they did? And why would that company give the government access to everybody that owns one of those safes? Everybody that owns a Liberty safe now, the government has the code to get into it.
Yeah. I say, because, like I say, Liberty gave out the master code to get into that safe. Hey, Scraps, Muggs, what's up?
What up, Muggs?
I say, so the FBI now has the code to get into a specific model of Liberty safe. Well, anybody in the country with that particular model of safe is now screwed, because the feds can walk in and, don't think for a minute that they won't keep that information on file someplace. What's up, Menace?
What up, Menace? We went off a little bit of what our main topic was. We were mostly just talking about subscription-based car companies, but we broke off on a side tangent a little bit about how the feds were able to access a safe because that company sold out to the government, which is what we were pointing at, that these same vehicle manufacturers could do to you.
Yeah. And again, none of this has happened as of yet, but the possibility is definitely there. Like I say, if you're one of the J6 people and you happen to own a Tesla, if they can't find you, are they just going to program your car to drive you to the local police station, or bring your car back to Tesla? Or the dealership, or wherever.
Yeah, same with mine, JR. I have a American Security, and you're not going to just move it. But if the feds came knocking, I would open it for them. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously with the correct paperwork.
Oh yeah, as long as they present the proper warrants, etc., yeah, I will comply. You come in with a general warrant to search my house that doesn't specify anything, nope, that's behind a locked door. You're screwed. I don't have to open it for you. That's law.
Right. So, well, we're creeping up on our 1 hour mark.
Oh, damn, that went by quick.
Right? Right.
Oh,
So, yeah, this was one of those ones I'll probably touch on again in the near future. Once I'll read some more about some of the other manufacturers, and we'll maybe do a show where we just talk about what each manufacturer is making, so we can see. Because I hit Ford because I was able to find the statistics on Ford, but they're not the only ones. So like Chevrolet's in there, Dodge is in there, BMW, Mercedes, they're all a part of this exact same thing. I was just easily able to find Ford's numbers.
no, Street Fox, you missed it. Billy already ran. That's kind of a joke on some of the racing channels. I'm sure Street Fox understands.
Yeah.
And Menace, yes, I do remember that. Apple wouldn't give up their codes to get into the phone. But what did the government do? They went ahead and hired hackers to open it up anyway.
Yeah. Yep. And there's plenty of YouTube videos to show you how to hack a damn phone. And I think it's mostly like jealous girlfriends that want to fucking hack your phones. So there's just you can YouTube a video and you can figure out how to hack a damn iPhone. No.
It's all good, Street Fox. I kind of figured you might be on.
And the dude, I think, look for us this next week. We are talking about maybe doing our next one on old Hunter Biden.
Yes.
That's one that I'm really interested in talking about. But we'll hit all the topics that we find interesting. So it could go from 9/11 to Bigfoot to corporate America robbing us to just anything. So, but whenever we do a show, we're going to try to stay on topic. So, we're currently talking about maybe doing a little Hunter Biden show, our next one.
Getting into his little laptop. Oh no, Kid Sniffer Jr. MMC.
Mm-hmm. Well, he sniffs stuff, but it's usually off of the cracks of stuff. Anyways, that'll be a future show.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's video evidence.
Yeah. That is a particular topic that me and Loki don't actually have to research a lot because we're very familiar with old Hunter Biden.
Oh.
But anyways, be out on my end of this. I appreciate you letting me come up and shoot the shit with you, Loki, as always.
Appreciate you coming up, dude. I mean, this is as much your show as it is mine, even though we've been doing it on my channel here lately just because of certain things, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, y'all, I appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out with us and listening to us ramble on about just random stuff we find interesting.
I appreciate that, dude. We'll try to get at least start putting a community post or something out to let people know that we're going to do this. Eventually, we will get to a point where it's a scheduled thing. I say right now, apologies, but it's just kind of random. Whenever Mike and I both have the time to get it on and get going.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you've checked, see if you've hit the notification bell for Loki. Because for the most part, it's going to be on this. We're working on creating a joint channel. It's just not in the cards quite yet. So
yeah.
Check and see if you have the notification bell on. And when we do create the new channel, we will obviously let everybody know.
Oh, yeah. I said we'll advertise it out, let everybody know where it's going to be, etc. We'll probably do it on one of these shows, either on mine or Carhole's channel. Or both. But all
Yeah.
right, everybody. Appreciate you coming out. Sorry it's so short. We could definitely roll for quite a while today with this one, but yeah, I said we both have things to do today, so we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.